Welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Sis podcast, featuring your two favorite sisters,
Alex
and Kyla. We were trying to figure out what to talk about in this episode, and we ended up coming to the agreement that we would like to talk about boundaries and non-negotiables and just things that us personally, that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, would put up with in the past, that with enough experience and self-reflection and just maturity, it's like a non-negotiable, something that you're not going to put up with anymore. We're going to talk about, you know, our own personal things without going in too much detail, and then just things in general that we've seen online and that we've heard through other people. And but we also want to put a little bit of a disclaimer, or at least I want to put a bit of a disclaimer. One of the things that I want to make very clear is that balance is key, and there's a difference between protecting your peace and protecting your ego. Yes. And what I mean by that is boundaries are about protecting your, what's it called? Yourself, your mental health, your self-respect. A boundary isn't I don't feel like it. A boundary is this harms me or crosses a value. So boundaries are about how people treat you, and avoidance is about how you don't want to show up.
Yeah, because I think people get them mixed up. I see this a lot online where people are like, oh, they're not respecting my boundaries. Like, this could be a red flag. But it's like, it's not that they're disrespecting your boundary. You just don't want to go, and you're not being a very good friend. And you're saying, I'm setting a boundary by not going because I'm protecting my peace. But it's really like,
you're just being inconsiderate.
Yes.
Because we see a lot of that online. And it's almost like, I mean, we've talked about this in a general sense about in other contexts on this podcast before, but there's a lot of very extreme advice and stories that I see on social media, specifically TikTok. And I actually saw a video recently of a girl being like, you know, everyone's talking about boundaries and self-care and, you know, respecting yourself and your peace and stuff. And she goes, all of that's fine. That's totally fine. But at what, like, you know, balance is key. And also, like, it's important to self-reflect and take accountability yourself. Like, I'm just going to give this example out there because this is what the girl mentioned in the video. She goes, if you have a friend, like a girlfriend, who is a good friend to you, she shows up for you, you know, there's nothing toxic going on. She doesn't have anything about her that's harming you in any way, or obviously no one's perfect, but like the person is good overall, and it's her birthday, or she's just wants to see you if she hasn't seen you in a while, and you decide, oh, I don't want to go. I don't feel like it. I'm protecting my peace. This is like a boundary of mine. Like, that's not really setting a boundary and protecting yourself. That's just kind of being a little bit more inconsiderate. And in this video, this girl was like, can we normalize like also sucking it up sometimes and just showing up for the people who love and care about you? Yeah. So when we talk about boundaries and non-negotiables, this is more in relation to people who are actively doing something that harms you, and it's more of like a pattern that you've noticed in someone. Yes. And you can't,
that's the key.
It's like a pattern recognition kind of thing. Whereas like if someone is just, you know, they do something once and you communicate with them, or the person shows up for you, they're a good person, and you just don't feel like going to something and whatnot, like it's, or you just, I don't know, for whatever it is, whatever boundary it is, like it's important to also see the other person's perspective, put yourself in their shoes, and like it's not protecting your peace to not show up for someone who's been a good person, friend, family member, whatever it is, to you over a period of time, like consistently good to you. I think that where it starts to get dangerous is when people start abusing boundaries and mental health and self-care.
It's anything in extreme.
Yeah, and then like rationalizing it, like they use it as a way to like rationalize things to themselves, when sometimes it's like
it's technically called emotional manipulation. It's not anything malicious. there's definitely aspects where it could be malicious, but a lot of people nowadays, they see something online and they feel validated in that feeling because they're like, oh, this makes sense to me. I am an introvert. I don't like to go out. I don't like to do these things. So I'm going to say no. And if they're upset with me, then like, that's not okay. That's a red flag because I'm setting a boundary for my own mental well-being, where it's like, there's a bigger picture. There's nuance. Like Kyla said with this video, sometimes you do things for other people. This person is not toxic to you. This person is not a bad person to you. They're a good friend. You just don't feel like doing something because it's not something you like to do, but it's for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like here, I wrote it down and this is perfect. I wrote friendship versus self-care distinction because there is a distinction.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to give examples. So like self-care isn't only bubble baths and staying home. Sometimes self-care is maintaining relationships that matter even when you're tired. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is if everyone in your life suddenly feels like they're too much, it might not be a boundary issue. It might be an emotional capacity issue. So that's like where emotional maturity comes into place and the ability to self-reflect, take accountability, and sometimes do things that you don't feel like doing for the people who actually matter and you love. And then another thing is not being a people pleaser doesn't mean never being uncomfortable. Sometimes love requires effort. So if you have a friend that consistently shows up for you, celebrates you, and has been there for you, that's not a boundary. That's you opting out of effort.
Yeah, that was a little confusing to me. Like,
What about it?
I don't really understand that. Like, they're showing up to you and then you're saying that they're toxic?
No, like it's a distinction between a boundary that you kind of rationalized yourself as like self-care and putting my mental peace first versus no, the deeper issue here that's going on is your avoidance or like you just don't feel like showing up for someone because you just don't feel like going, but you're not really taking care of yourself. You're just kind of like
not doing it.
You're kind of just being a little inconsiderate to a friend or whoever it is. Mm-hmm. But if that person this only applies when that person has consistently shown up for you, you have like, you know, a good relationship. This isn't like a person who consistently like lets you down, invalidates you.
Yeah.
You know, is not the nicest to you or whatever. Like there is a difference. I'm showing like the distinction between the two.
So the purpose of this episode is we want to talk about non-negotiables, things that we have over time, like we said earlier when we first started, changed our view on, but also to be clear to people watching that sometimes it's not black and white. Like sometimes there's an in between. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no. Well, that's essentially what this is too. Like, okay,
I'm trying to say it in like a nice, like this is why I get caught is because I don't want people to feel like they're bad people.
No, also that's not what we're saying. We're just, because here's the thing. Initially, we wanted to talk about non-negotiables and boundaries.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about it some more, I started thinking, because I saw this video on TikTok the other day of this girl being like, can we normalize like showing up for your friends even when you don't feel like it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if your friend is having like a birthday or like she wants to see you if she hasn't seen you in a while and like you just don't feel like going and then you rationalize it to yourself by saying something like, no, I'm setting a boundary. I don't want to be a people pleaser anymore. Like I'm doing this for me. It's like, that's not a boundary and it's not really like every once in a while. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. But like if it's something that would mean a lot to the other person and that person has been there for you, shown up for you, is not like a consistently quote unquote toxic person, then sometimes you have to just, you know, bite the bullet and be like, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but it's for this person. I'm doing it for this person and I'm going to suck it up kind of thing. Just for this one thing.
Yeah. Like, whereas, let's normalize it.
Exactly. Like,
I'll give a different example, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is what I told my sister. I see now on social media this whole gentle parenting thing, okay? People were like, oh, I either agree with gentle parenting or I don't agree with gentle parenting. but they're actually losing the whole definition of what the whole gentle parenting act was. Gentle parenting is not allowing your child to dictate what goes on, and you can never say no to them, and you can never have boundaries for them because it's all about like gentle and the way you speak to them. No, that's not what it is at all. Gentle parenting officially is allowing your child to have space for their emotions, to feel heard and understood, and allowed to express themselves with those emotions. They're not allowed to dictate the show. Like, you still set boundaries for your children, and you still have rules and things that you set in place. Like, people take it to an extreme. They like see this one thing and they don't actually fully grasp it or understand it, and then they run with it, and then that gets a bad rep. And so everyone assumes gentle parenting now is like parents that literally allow their child to run the household because they're a gentle parent. No. Because I hate that so much, because I've done a lot of research in this like gentle parenting movement, and that's what Dan and I do, but we're not like, we're pretty strict.
Yeah.
And not in a toxic way, not in a bad way. We have standards for the things that we do in our home, and the way that we treat each other, and the way that we act towards each other. And we follow those rules, and we have these boundaries, but at the same time, we allow ourselves to feel the emotions. It's what we do with the emotion.
Yeah.
That is.
Like, you're not invalidating your child. You're letting them talk about it. They don't leave the conversation feeling like unseen and dismissed, but at the same time, they also understand boundaries and rules, and
sometimes you can't kick or hit. It's not okay. Or speak to people a certain way, or ignore people when you're mad. Like, sometimes it's okay to feel the feeling, but sometimes you have to actually deal with it and face it. And that is essentially what gentle parenting is. But some people just, it's frustrating for me, because I like see this whole negative thing of like, oh my God, gentle parenting, these kids are going to grow up and they're going to be told no, and they're going to like have an existential crisis in real life. But that's not what gentle parenting is.
I know. I feel like
it's the same thing with this whole act of like, I'm putting myself first and I'm setting a boundary, but AKA I'm just cutting people out of my life and using that as an excuse.
And like, sometimes it's like they're not even necessarily cutting these people out of their lives, but it'll be like, I want to work on my people pleasing, and I don't want to be a people pleaser anymore. I want to set boundaries. I want to, do things like prioritize myself more, which that's all fine. I agree with that stuff. But like, also take into consideration when you decide to apply this and who you're applying it to, because context matters as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people kind of use that as an excuse when they're either bailing on something or they just don't want to show up for someone. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's not really you working on your people pleasing. It's just more, you don't feel like going to something, or you don't feel like doing something, and you're using that as an excuse to not show up for someone or a few people who are good people. And it's more like it's inconsiderate, I guess, or I don't even know the proper word for it. But when we talk about non-negotiables and boundaries in this episode, we're applying it to people who have shown a consistent pattern of just not being able to, I don't know, be emotionally mature. And it's like, it's just a pattern.
Or communicate effectively, because that's the thing. It all boils down to communication, right? And if you're not looking inward, and actually really looking inward, not just surface level, looking at your flaws, hearing the other person out, saying, okay, what did I actually do in this situation? What could I have done better? And then moving forward, if I am making changes, is it making changes, or is it just the same cycle over and over again now? Because we just can't communicate. Like, I think making changes to yourself is the first start to anything if you want a change in a relationship, because you can't rely on other people.
Well, it all comes down to self-awareness and your maturity. You need to, first of all, you need to be mature to a certain extent to be able to self-reflect.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, because no one's perfect, right? Like, people are gonna make mistakes sometimes. People are gonna, you know, you're gonna be upset or hurt or sad or angry, whatever it is. But if the person overall consistently over like a period of time has been there for you, they're a good person, they mean well, because sometimes people, they don't have malicious intent. It could be like whatever it is that happens could stem from something deeper in them, whatever. And then it's like what you're saying, like communication is key. But then there's also some people who just genuinely like are very immature and cannot look inward, cannot take accountability for things. And that's when boundaries become very important. You know, we're like, not being a people pleaser becomes important, because then that's actually self-protection and like boundaries in a healthy way.
I also think with people pleasing, because I would definitely consider myself a people pleaser. Like, I want people to feel happy or to like me or to feel comfortable in a moment. Like, I have a really hard time saying no if I don't want something or want to do something, or it stems so deep, because it's even like, hey, let's go do this trip or go to this concert months down the line, and I just say yes because I'm a people pleaser. I don't actually want to do it. It's not important to anyone. It's just a fun thing, and I say yes even though deep down I don't want to do it. And then everyone's planning it and doing it and like they're excited, and I'm like, holy fuck, it's not even something I want to do. And then I'm stuck in a situation where it would have been easy from the get-go for me to just communicate and be like, I'm not super down for that, but like, that sounds so fun for you guys and I think it'll be great. Let's do this, or like, I'm down more for like this aspect, or maybe I can't afford that. Like, just to be a bit more honest with the people in your life. And then people that you're not super close with when it comes to people pleasing, that's a whole other added aspect, which I also suffer from.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's like, again,
being a people pleaser is a real thing, and it's not easy. Like, it's good to work on that, and to be able to, like, you know, communicate, set boundaries. But like, you also setting boundaries isn't always so extreme where it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna go do this, or I'm gonna cut this person out of my life because they did one thing, or whatever it is. It's like, setting boundaries sometimes is literally just communicating. And in like, you could literally just tell someone, for example, I'll use the birthday example again, or like seeing a friend, just be like, listen, like, initially when they want to ask you if you're free and like they want to do something, and then you communicate initially by just saying something simple as like, I want to be there for you, or I want to see you, I miss you too, but right now this is what's going on. Can we, like, I would rather be in this environment, or I would rather avoid an environment like this or something, but like still show an effort. Like, I still want to see you, and let's do something on another day. What's your schedule? Could we do something like this instead?
And if then they say to you, listen, it's really important for me for my birthday that I go and do this with all of my friends. Like, it's something I really want to do. Then, okay, they're your really good friend. And like that TikTok said, sometimes you just have to suck it up for another person. Unless it's something big, like you can't afford it, or, you know, like, we're talking small mundane things, like you don't want to go out to a restaurant for a few drinks with people because you just don't feel like it. It's not your vibe. In that context, you just got to suck it up.
I wrote everything down. Actually, I didn't personally write everything down. I went on ChatGPT and asked it to organize my thoughts on this, because I have a lot to say, and my ADD was through the roof this morning. So there's different categories of non-negotiables that I have for me personally.
I'm so cold, by the way.
I know, same. My foot is completely numb. I'm sitting on it right now.
Me too. I'm like so cold. Okay, anyway. Sorry.
So the first category would be like dating and romantic relationships. So first non-negotiable I have is consistency is the baseline, not the bonus. So if someone is hot and cold, avoidant, or only shows up when it's convenient, I don't try to understand them anymore. Chemistry without consistency isn't connection, it's anxiety.
Chemistry without connection?
Chemistry without consistency isn't connection. It's anxiety.
How would you apply that?
So like, let's say I mean, now I'm in a relationship,
Yeah,
so it
okay, so
doesn't.
prior.
And also being in a relationship with someone who's actually healthy
Yeah.
has helped me big time. Like I look back in hindsight when I was single, the bar was so low. Like it is crazy. The stuff that I would put up with and like the guys that I would get involved with, it's like, what the heck is even like, but I also had never experienced a relationship like the one I'm in now.
Yeah.
So like there's also that, but like now that I have experienced it, and like even though it's still so early on, like I look back in hindsight and I'm like, what the heck is this? So like I would be,
You would go based off of the chemistry that you would feel with someone.
but a lot of the time that chemistry or connection, whatever it is that you want to call it, would be more so anxiety, and it was triggered by the fact that the person was being hot and cold with me. So it was kind of like this intermittent validation that I would get, and then I would become almost hooked. It was almost like a trauma bond kind of thing, and I'd be hooked on the person, but like really in reality I don't actually like the person. It's just more the way the person is showing up for me. It starts to feel addictive to like receive the validation.
It's a dopamine hit.
Exactly. And then you get the crash again, and then it's like a whole cycle, and then and that the person's being hot and cold, or they're more avoidant, and it would get me almost like hooked. It wouldn't happen with every single person, but like,
so that's your non-negotiables. Like you're not doing that anymore.
I wouldn't do that anymore. Another one would be clear interest, no ambiguity. So if I feel confused, I take that as information. I no longer stay in situations where I have to interpret, decode, or wait. And that's especially true because when I started seeing my boyfriend, we were seeing each other for months. When I met him, I was not ready for a relationship. I even told him I'm not ready for anything. I don't really have clarity on what I want. And I just wanted to be like upfront and honest from the get-go. Because I was still very much like, I don't want to say traumatized anymore, but like still, I was almost like numbed out after like the last experience I had. And he was like very respectful and receptive to that. And he like, acknowledged that. But at the same time, he was clear with me. And he's like, that being said, I feel like we have a connection and there's depth, and that's very rare. And I don't think our vibe points to friendship. And so he was also honest.
Good for him.
And I was like, okay, like I also like, anyways, we continued hanging out, which clearly that was a sign that I liked him. But I was just like, so
you're trying really hard to like have, like you said, set this boundary for yourself, for your own mental well-being of like, I'm not just going to jump into another relationship when I don't even know what I want.
Yeah.
When in the reality, like he was a healthy guy who is right for you.
And he also like, I'm saying this because it relates to this point where like, clear interest, no ambiguity. It was obvious. Like I was never confused with him. I knew he was intentional with me. He was consistent, but he also wasn't too much. He wasn't coming on too strong.
Yeah.
He has a life of his own, but it was like steady consistency over time. He handled my communication very well, which was like huge for me because I'm very avoidant. I don't like communicating, especially when I like not in a relationship.
Right.
It's very like scary for me. It's too vulnerable. And I always knew that he liked me. There was no games. There was no ambiguity. It was just very much like, no, this guy is showing up for me. It was the same as like when you and Dan started dating.
Yeah, I was like shocked with how quick he would answer my messages. I was so used to like waiting to see if the person would message, and then I would get like the butterflies if I see he finally did.
Which that's like the hot and cold avoidant behavior, which gets you hooked.
And so when he would answer right away, I was like, huh? Like I didn't get it.
There's no mind games. It's very when a guy is mature, healthy, or secure, and he's intentional with his dating and he genuinely likes you, you're not gonna feel all this confusion,
What is that saying they say where it's like, is he creepy or is he just ugly? There's like, I think that's saying like, is he creepy or is he just ugly? Or like, is he nice or just ugly? Because it's like, if someone like is healthy and they're communicating properly and they're responding back right away and you're getting like the ick from that, it's not because that's a bad thing. it's because you just like, if you're like, oh, they're so creepy, they like message me back right away, like they're so upset, it's like, no, you just are not attracted to them. Because I guarantee,
no,
if
actually,
you were super attracted to them and they were texting you back,
that it goes deeper than that. It's
yes, but I'm saying for the saying.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because in that case, then I would, if like,
when you're younger and you're like creeped out by someone like messaging you back right away, it's typically because you're just not into them.
And also you don't really want someone who's going to be treating you well.
Yeah.
Like you kind of want the games.
That's kind of what, like, that's what you're saying. The deeper thing is what people don't want to like look inward at, is a lot of the times the what you stand for and what you allow to happen to you is actually
a reflection of yourself.
The respect you have for yourself.
Yeah. And like your emotional availability yourself, you know, because I was doing that too, where I was like going for the hot and cold avoidant men and stuff. And then I would always be like, I would like talk about it with my friends or in therapy, whatever. And like I came to the realization, like after years of doing it,
like, oh, it's actually
where I was
me.
like, oh, it's actually like, this is, I'm getting unlucky with these guys, but really I'm not getting unlucky, and there are good guys out there. I'm just attracted to this type of behavior because I have some unprocessed things of my own.
Yes.
And I'm actually not as emotionally available myself as I thought I was. Because when you're
looking inward.
Exactly. Then another one is words must match behavior.
Yeah.
Another one is emotional regulation is required. So this is a huge one for me because I always felt like in my past relationships, even though I was also, here's self-reflection, I was also
toxic,
very, very emotional. I also had my own fucking flaws. Like,
as does everyone.
But I always did feel like I was always the more emotionally in tune, like more in tune with my emotions. And if I would date someone that was like had like anger or didn't whatever it was, or just would lash out, like anything would like, anyways, I always felt like I had to manage someone else's emotions. So now emotional regulation is required. So I won't manage someone else's emotions, ego, defensiveness, or spirals. If I have to stay calm for you, it's not safe for me.
Yes.
On a consistent basis. I mean, when someone is consistently defensive or getting upset, and they're spiraling and you feel like you need to manage them, that's a non-negotiable for me now. If you can't figure out how to regulate your own emotions, then I'm not going to be with you.
Yeah.
Accountability without deflection. So if every conversation turns into an explanation, excuse, or reversal, I'm done.
Yeah.
I need someone who can say, you're right, I see it. And that's even happened to me, like the older I got, where I would get defensive myself, or I would, sometimes reverse blame or whatever. And like now I can take a step back, self-reflect, and then take accountability and apologize. Yeah. Because like I was saying, like no one's perfect. People are gonna mess up sometimes.
Yeah, of course. It's the consistent. At this point in life, consistency and not working on yourself.
Yeah, if someone has a pattern and they're consistently doing the same thing over and over and over again,
that's when a boundary
goodbye.
Is good.
Like not putting up with that shit when it comes to dating, especially like the early stages.
Yeah, and I'm saying I feel like a lot of yours have to do with dating.
Well, this is just like the examples that I have for like the dating and relationships. Okay. I also have for friendships and stuff.
Wow, you have a lot.
So,
I have like 3.
So there's no future faking, but also I was single for so long, so I have a lot for when it comes to like dating and relationships.
Okay.
So no future faking. I don't bond over promises or imagined versions of us. I bond over how someone shows up now.
Good.
Respect during conflict. No passive aggression. No stonewalling. No power games. If someone punishes me emotionally, I remove myself.
What's stonewalling?
When they give you the silent treatment or like ignore you.
Oh my God, I cannot. Sorry.
They stop responding. That's essentially stonewalling. But like, again, even for me, if I'm going to be mature and honest and take accountability myself, like during conflict, if I'm really upset about something and I'm like overwhelmed and I don't know how to, I just need to calm down first, because I'm also the type of person when I get really upset in the moment, I need to take my space and calm down before I can actually talk about it, because if not, I'll say things that like I'll regret.
But that's when you don't stonewall, and that's when you say, listen, I need to calm down. I will talk to you when I'm ready.
Yeah.
You don't just ignore.
Yeah.
That is just the silent treatment is so unhealthy. And I know people say it's the only way that men will like listen to you, or it's the only way you can get someone to listen to you is if you give them the silent treatment, because then they'll know you're upset. It's like, no,
that's just called manipulation.
Yeah, like you need to communicate with somebody, and if you're not ready to communicate in that moment, you tell them, I am not ready to communicate. I need a little bit of time. And then if they can't respect your time, then that's also not okay. But you have to communicate a little bit. The ignoring and silent treatment is like, just don't do it. It's just not okay for anyone in your life. It is so immature and like rude.
It's very immature, and
I used to do it to Dan.
Yeah, like I mean, like I'm guilty of that too. And also I'm guilty of things even when I was single. Like this was like much like when I was younger, like in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like I would also be hot and cold with men. I was super avoidant. Like even when I read these things, I'm like, oh yeah, I relate to that when I was younger, or like even more recently. Like there's things, because no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But when it's a consistent thing, and especially like where I am, and I mean I have a boyfriend, so it's different. But let's say I was in the headspace that I'm in now, but I was still single. This is the type of stuff that would be like, I'm not even attracted to a guy who's inconsistent or, you know, more avoidant or whatever it is, like, or a guy that like, you know, I feel like I need to manage his emotions, or he's more immature. Like I'm not even attracted to that anymore. To me, I don't see these like games as fun, or like it just wouldn't do anything for me. If anything, I would be so turned off. I'd be like, I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah. You get to a point in life where you're just like, I mean, you either stand for it for the rest of your life. Is someone calling my name?
So I guess like for you, it doesn't really apply, this specific topic, because you've been in a relationship, now you're married.
No, but like, it still applies in a lot of ways. Because like, just because this is your like dating relationship thing doesn't mean it doesn't apply in like my other relationships that I have in life.
Also, like it
can apply with friendships. It could apply with parents. Like even for me, I don't want to put onto my children the fact that they have to regulate my emotions. You know, like I don't want to have them ever feel like, oh, my mom is feeling bad about this or sad, like I need to like do this to make them happy. Like that is not okay. So it's all things that I internalize to try to be better for the people around me, you know, and communicate healthy and take accountability when it's warranted, but then also realize sometimes it's just, not to make excuses for myself, but sometimes it's just out of my control. It's not a me issue. This is like something that's going on. Like, because I do like to look inward. I do like to make change. You know me. You know I didn't used to be like this.
Yeah.
It was like I was so defensive. I had such a hard time to look inward. And even still in situations now, especially with Dan, like because we've been together for so long, we're so good at like pushing the buttons that we know are going to push and reacting to it when we know it's a pattern. But I can apply everything that you just said to different people in my life.
Yeah. And also it applies to like, I mean, in this context, we're saying like non-negotiables, like if this happens consistently, like we're done. But like it's, that's why I'm saying like this is more like,
I see what you mean,
you know, but then I have
does non-negotiable mean like if this is consistent, then like you're cut out of my life? Or is it like how would we rationalize it? Because for me, I have a very hard time cutting people out. Like I just don't
this is like non-negotiables. Like for the first category, when it says dating and romantic relationships, this is like when you're single and you're dating around and it's like the early stages. It's a non-negotiable, not for me, because
not moving forward,
there's no good end. Like this wouldn't be good for me long term.
Right.
I already know this type of behavior, pattern recognition. you've been involved. You know what I mean? It's like at a certain point, like you just have to be like, you have to cut the cord and be like, I'm not putting up with this. I don't care how attracted I am to this person. I don't care if I feel chemistry with them. If they're not doing X, Y, and Z, goodbye. There's other people you're going to meet in life, other men you're going to meet in life that you're going to find attractive, and they're going to have a lot more to give. They're going to bring a lot more value in your life.
I heard this one person say on a podcast that if some like magician told you that it's going to take you dating 20 guys before you meet the love of your life and your person, anytime you broke up with someone or they dumped you or whatever, you'd be like, okay, I'm just one more person closer to my person.
Yeah, you wouldn't even care.
Exactly. So it's like, why are we trying so hard to make something work with someone that is just not going to work with you? It's like, if they don't work with you, and that's not to say not to put effort in, but if it's not a healthy situation, move on from it and say, this is not my person, and now I'm one more person closer to who I'm meant to be with.
There's someone for everyone. There's billions of people in the world, and this is something that me and my boyfriend have talked about, and he said this, and I was like, it's so true. Like, if you're single right now listening to this podcast, and trust me, I know exactly how it feels to be single for so long and to consistently meet guys that you're either just not interested in, or they're not interested in you, or they play you, or whatever it is. Like, try, or especially in the case of like the person either ghosting you or ending things with you, not wanting to be with you in the first place, like it's not really a reflection of yourself, unless they're communicating with you and you're not listening over and over again. Then okay, maybe that's a you problem. You need to look inward on that. But like, if it was something that's just like not in your control, and the person, you feel rejected in the end, just because this one person rejected you, like it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you and you're not lovable or you're not desirable and you're doing something wrong. Like, there's just someone for everyone out there. Even someone that like we would look at, like, even me and you, if we met a guy tomorrow, not saying like in terms of us wanting to date him, but like you could possibly find him not your type, you're not attracted to him, you don't really like his personality, you're just kind of like whereas for me, I could be like, oh my god, this guy is so cute, he has such a good personality. It's like everyone is different, so there's someone out there for everyone. I
find it so funny sometimes when people are like, they're like, oh my god, like I have this hottest guy walked in, and then you like see a photo and you're like, what? Like, you don't get it, but it's because you're just not attracted to the same kind of people. Like,
even for me, like my friends have been involved with guys, and they show, and like the guy I will say would be like an objectively good looking guy, but to me all I see is like, this guy looks like a total fuckboy douchebag, and he looks like, just based off the picture, I know don't judge a book by its cover, but like sometimes it's like you just know by seeing a picture, it's like this guy would cheat on anyone he's with. Like, he would just not be, like, he knows he's good looking, he's self-absorbed. And like, I'll have like people in my life that are like, oh my god, he's so hot, and I'm like, ew, I'm not attracted to this at all.
Breaking the cycle.
Yeah. Okay, but the next one is friendship, so this would apply more to you. First one is reciprocity over history. Longevity doesn't excuse lack of effort. If I'm always the one showing up, checking in, or adjusting, I step back.
Yep.
2, I'm not the emotional dumping ground. So I support my friends, but I don't absorb their chaos, indecision, or repetitive spirals, especially when nothing ever changes. My boundaries aren't up for debate. So if I say I'm tired, busy, or I don't want to discuss something, I don't explain further. That I feel like is a little bit too cutthroat, black and white.
Yeah.
I feel like that would only apply in the case of like someone who, after you've already explained yourself numerous times and they're just not grasping it or respecting it, then you just have to like disengage. Consistency matters more than intensity, so I don't confuse closeness with oversharing or emotional urgency. I value steady, grounded friendships. Support without competition, so my growth, clarity, or confidence isn't something I downplay anymore to keep others comfortable. I won't stay where I feel taken for granted. If someone only notices my absence, I don't return the same way.
I don't understand this one.
If someone only notices my absence, I don't return the same way. So if, like, for example, all the times you have been there for a friend, and then the few times that you haven't shown up for them, and that's what they focus on, and they completely
ignore all the good
dismiss
things.
all the good things, and they're only focusing on like the bad.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the last one.
See, you reading these are, Jesus, it's so loud. You reading these is like a good self-reflection for myself. I'm like, you're like, oh, I would never stand for this, and I'm like, oh, I do that. My, like, I guess toxic trait, which I wouldn't necessarily say it's toxic because it's not awful. It's just something that I'm working on and I need to get better at. Because I'm so busy in my life, like I have a full-time job, I have 2 kids, I'm a mom, I'm involved in my kids' activities. I have friends in different areas of my life. And right now I live in a place where my kids' stuff is like all in the general area. And I have friends all in the general area. And we hang out a lot because we all are within 5 minutes of each other. And it's easy and it's quick. I sometimes neglect other relationships because it's further. It's harder to schedule things. And it's just like, not that it slips my mind because I don't care. It's just because I'm so self-absorbed in like my little bubble right now.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm trying to work on, is to be more transparent with my like current routine and schedule, and then also just making more of an effort, and then communicating everything, right? Because I do care about other relationships, and I do sometimes forget to respond to messages, and it's something that I'm actively working on. But I would have to say that if I wasn't working on it and I never made a change for the next year, months, like whatever it is, I could see like friendships fizzling out because of my lack of effort.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I also think it's worth always communicating too. Because let's say you're feeling this way and you have like a relationship in your life, not romantic, but like a platonic relationship. You don't know what's going on inside of someone else's head, just like they don't know what's going on inside of your head.
Yeah.
And just because you would assume that like, oh, well, they should just, like, anyone would know that a friend would just be there for each other, that they would just do that. Like, duh. And if you're not doing that, you're a bad friend. I can't believe you don't see it. That's not accurate.
Yeah.
Because everyone is different. And that's one of the hardest things that I've had to learn, is that just because I would do something a certain way doesn't mean another person would, and doesn't mean that it's bad.
No, exactly. It's like, it's almost like, the way I like to see it is you have to adjust your expectations with people, because someone could still be a good person and, you know, not like they could still care about you, but if they're like, especially, I don't know how to word this properly, but like essentially what I mean when I say adjust your expectations isn't to say that like, oh, just accept it and like don't expect anything from the person, because at the end of the day, like it's still okay to have some expectations.
100%.
You want to still have trust in the other person. You still have your values and your standards.
And relationships are a two-way street.
But exactly, it takes 2 people to tango. But what I mean by like adjust your expectations is like, it's almost like the term radical acceptance, where it's like, this is how this person is. This is how they handle communication or anything emotional. I know this about them, so
and I can't control them,
and I can't control it
or change it.
I could communicate as well as I possibly can, but at the end of the day, if it's their behavior, like the ball is in their court. So I'll adjust my expectation when it comes to, if I know this person isn't good at communicating, then I know that when I communicate with them, or if we're, you know, I'm trying to talk to them about something or whatever it is, or they're upset, I won't expect them to just all of a sudden be able to communicate and give me what like I would be able to give them if
Yeah.
the roles were reversed.
Like, I see this example a lot with the older generation, right? Where it's like you have this relationship with your parents and it's the same cycle over and over again. You're like, why can't they just see it my way? Why can't they just treat me the way that like I need to be treated? Like, how do they not see it? I've expressed it. I've talked about it. Like, I just don't get it. And it's like radical acceptance is understanding that change only happens when you make change.
Yeah.
Because you cannot change another person. You can't control other people. Like Kyla said, you can express your own point of view and how it makes you feel. But if they're not going to change their behavior, there's nothing that you can do about it, right? And so it's hard because like I said, don't love to cut people out. Mm-hmm. I've also never been in a situation where someone is so toxic to the point where I've like actually had to do that. Like, it's almost... So maybe I'm just lucky. Like, I feel like people that are not in my life, or if they were toxic, is not because I've cut them out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know. But I'm just saying that I have a harder time with doing this. But I know in certain situations, it's important to. And listen, I'm not talking about like abuse or anything like that because I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
And so who knows how I'd be in that situation. I'm very blessed that I haven't been in that situation. But I think that abuse aside, just having a hard time having a relationship with someone, and if you've tried to communicate and you see that there's no change, then I think it's important where you can set a boundary. You could take a step back once you have communicated. You can't not communicate and then be like, well, they're not changing.
Yeah.
And continue to communicate.
Yeah. And like, that's also like, you know, adjust your expectations where it's like, okay, you've seen the way someone is.
Yep.
You have to accept it. It's like the typical thing when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I think it's a lot of people, me included, you know, you could see someone's behavior, especially when it's a pattern.
Yeah.
Even when it's not directed at you, it could be to other people in their life, and you like experience it indirectly because like they either talk to you about it or you just see it firsthand. Like, that is basically a little bit of an insight as to like how they would be towards you if you were on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
Like, no one is, people like to think like, oh, they're like this with other people, but they wouldn't be like that with me. It's like, no, they would be like that with you.
You're just not in that situation
yet,
or if ever. But it's, for me, I guess my main non-negotiable is that if there is if there is a lack of communication, or if someone is treating me a certain way, I am no longer in my life going to try to get something out of that person.
Next category of non-negotiables would be work and business.
Oh, yeah.
So clear communication is a non-negotiable. Silence, last minute changes, or chronic confusion signal misalignment, not flexibility.
But here's my thing though, Kai. Like, if you're in a work environment where like you can't control like your boss, but they're still your boss and you have to like deal with them, then what? Because you can't like have a boundary with your boss.
Well, you know, context is key too, right?
Yeah.
Like, some people can't afford changing jobs. They need that job. Sometimes also, like, no matter where you're working, there's always going to be things that happen that you're not going to like.
Yeah.
But when it's all the time and there's like constant miscommunication, you're always confused, you're always chasing clarity, and it's affecting the way that you show up at work, and it's actually affecting you
doing your
job, and also like just mentally, because a lot of the time, like at work, I could speak on behalf of myself and a lot of people I've talked to. I'm very ambitious and I want to be able to do my job and I want to be able to do it properly. But I've also had plenty of experiences where like there's a lot of miscommunication and confusion, which that happens no matter where you work or what you're doing. But when it's constant, but then like you also end up almost like taking the hit if like things all go to shit, and it's always like that. It's like a job or like an environment or culture misalignment. It's not about you not being flexible anymore. This is just like, it's something that you value is clear communication. Doesn't need to be perfect 24/7 because again, no one's perfect. Everyone is human. But when it's just always like that, it's just no.
And I do think some people are like, well, I can't afford to switch jobs. And in that case, that's true for a lot of people. But I do also think that, like, is it worth, like, I'm sure there's a way to switch jobs.
You could start
eventually
looking and applying to other places when you're still at your job.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to quit first or give in your letter of resignation before actually securing another job. Like, you can do that. And sometimes it's not easy to find another job.
Yeah.
Especially if,
depending on your line of work.
Exactly. Like, obviously, like, everything is relative. Like, I'm just stating
this is
like
your
a
own
general
thing.
This is also my own thing.
Yeah.
For me now, something I've really learned about myself is that I cannot work in an environment where either my employers or my clients are just constantly like, they're not giving me anything to work with, and I'm always feeling confused. I always feel like I'm trying to chase something.
There needs to be communication.
And again, just like many other things, granted, this is different. This with work and professional things, there's like a lot more boundaries in place, but like it still is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I find it hard. I have a lot of friends that are in like such different lines of work. So when you tell me things, I try to put myself in the shoes of all these different people, and I'm like, okay, that would make so much sense for like this person. But then I'm like, but this friend over here, they don't have a choice, or they're stuck in this, or like, what do you do in that situation? Like, it's so hard. That's why I think these are so personal towards you.
Yeah.
And what you think you can handle and what is healthy for you. Because some people might look at that and be like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Like, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, if it doesn't bother you,
I clock out after work and then I'm happy. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
Like, so I just think anything you hear, listen, like we always say.
Well, also, this is my list of like my personal non-negotiables. Exactly. Respect for my expertise. So I won't over-explain, over-justify, or prove my value repeatedly. If someone hires me, they trust me, or they don't get access.
Yeah. That's a pretty good boundary to have. You know your worth.
Payment and professionalism. Late payments, disorganization, or guilt-based delays are not my problem.
In business, 100%.
Boundaries around availability. Urgency doesn't override respect. I don't work from panic or people-pleasing anymore. That's a huge one for me because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So like that's something that like I still need to... A lot of these I still need to work on, by the way.
I did a panel recently, side note quick, about like the workspace environment, and like in my line of work recently there's a lot of clients that will send in something that they'll need by like end of day, like it's a very quick turnaround, and I could easily say no, but it's like, well, this is a really good opportunity, I want to take it, and I work my ass off and I work over the weekend or whatever it is to get it done during a time I normally wouldn't work, and then I send it in and it's like it takes a week to get a review, and then they give you the review and they're like, oh, by the way, we need the revision in 30 minutes, and it's like, it's super unrealistic. And so having those conversations of like, this is my boundary, and like I don't work to have a super quick turnaround to then have to wait a week to hear back your response.
Also, the way I see it, and like this is like, obviously I'm not saying nothing matters, but like if your job isn't to save lives, if no one is dying, then like, of course, yes, be punctual, be professional, do your job. But when someone is like throwing like, is just essentially taking advantage of you, like a employer or client, whatever it is, like, sorry, but it's not your problem.
Yeah.
Next one, self/energy. This is where growth becomes the most obvious. First one, I don't abandon myself. If something feels off in my body, I listen, even if I can't explain it yet. Peace over proving. I don't need to win conversations or be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding me.
Yep.
I don't stay in dynamics that drain me, whether it's love, friendships, or work. If it costs me my nervous system, it's too expensive. Rest is not earned. I don't need to burn out to justify slowing down. Being liked is optional. Alignment, safety, and respect matter more than approval. I choose grounded connections. I'm no longer drawn to chaos, intensity, or emotional unpredictability, even if it feels familiar. So those are all the ones that I have, like just boundaries for myself, which again, still working on it.
These are things that like I think moving forward are really good to have. Obviously, when you're faced with real life situations, it's always harder when there's emotion involved and like you're dealing with someone else and they're reacting in the way that like ChatGPT wouldn't say that they would react, and then you're like, shit, what do I do? You know, like this is like a generalized thing for you to have in your life that you want to strive towards for really good, healthy relationships in the future. And I think that's so great.
Yeah.
But I also think too, it's to like look inward at yourself and look at what your mental capacity can handle long term with specific behaviors.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it always comes back down to like self-awareness, which is essentially maturity, because when you are self-aware, you get to know yourself more.
Yep.
And your values and your limits. And
it helps with confidence.
It helps big time with confidence, because no one is going to be perfect in all areas. And there's also going to be things that you don't like that you're just going to have to accept or suck it up for whatever time being. But like, you know, when it comes to work, even like at first I used to just take everything so personally and think like, oh, like if I need to do that, like if there was a last minute change and it was super urgent, and I would do it because I was like, oh, still a people pleaser and still, you know, I wanted to do a good job. And then it was consistently like that. And then there was still a lack of communication, lack of boundaries or respect, whatever it was. I reached a point where it's like, okay, now I'm at a point in my career where I won't accept a client, or I won't want to work in an environment where there's no clear communication, or, you know, there's a lot of urgent last minute changes that need to be, they make it seem like it's like, you know, someone's going to die if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And then you do it. And then, you know, the example you gave where it takes a week to hear back, and then they get back to you and it's like, no, but we need the results in 30 minutes. It's like, no, actually, it's not my problem.
Yeah. Like these are situations where you need to have a little bit of like a line of, no,
people take advantage.
Yes.
Everyone is always trying to see what they can take. And even if it's subconsciously, like they want to see what you're willing to put up with. Hi.
I think this is a really interesting topic of conversation. I feel like it's also something that we can really like get into and like get to the nitty gritty.
I feel like even just with this general topic, there's so many different things that can be said, because it's like, also the way everything is worded in this, it sounds like very like AI. It's too black and white. No, but it's also too black and white.
Yeah.
It's very, which I guess is AI.
Yeah.
But like there's also, no matter where you work or what you do for a living, there's going to be times that things happen. There's going to be last minute changes. You're going to feel confused. You're going to want clarity. Maybe they won't be able to give it to you. Like that's just life.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. But when it's all the time and you feel like you're being taken for granted or taken advantage of,
that's the
and
difference.
There's no recognition and there's no appreciation, like essentially no incentive for you to even want to stay in that environment.
And again, this is after communication.
Yeah.
Because there can be a repetitive behavior of something that you don't like and that you don't stand for, but without any communication about it, it's not just an excuse to throw in the towel.
No.
Because there's been times in my life where people have approached things to me and been like, this has made me upset that like you did this or this X, Y, and Z, whatever. And I'm talking about many things throughout my life. And, like I had no idea, you know? And to that person, it's like, well, it's just obvious. Like, duh. But it's like, it comes at like I had no idea. And then also looking, if I am in a healthy place, looking inward and being like, did I do that? Like, is this true? Shit, like maybe I need to work on this on myself. Like I had no idea that was like even happening, or like whatever. There's things that like you need to actually like take accountability for. But there's also sometimes where people have come to me about a situation and not to invalidate their feeling, but it's like, well, this seems more like a you issue. Mm-hmm. It's not my responsibility to manage your emotion.
Yeah.
Like you can be mad, but you can't put it on me that it's my job to like, I don't know. I'm like, I think too much of like personal situations have happened in my life.
It's the type of thing where it's like, okay, the person is upset about something and like that's
the
valid.
Feeling is valid.
And like they can communicate that to you and you can take accountability. You could apologize and you could, you know, acknowledge.
No, but I'm talking in situations where like it's not even, apology is not even needed. Because it's like, this is a you issue.
Okay, yeah.
Like you're now making an issue out of nothing. And this is not me saying like I don't apologize for anything and I'm never in the wrong. Like I definitely fuck up 100%. Yeah. And I recognize that and I try to work on it. But there has been times in my life where people will like use their emotions to like manipulate a situation. And it's like, no, I'm not apologizing for that. I don't feel sorry. It's not my fault. And like, this is your issue that you need to deal with.
Yeah. It's like, they're just putting it on you. Yeah. Almost. It's like, no.
So it's another situation of like how to have a boundary.
Also, it's like, it goes back to being someone's emotional dumping ground.
Yeah.
Like when people like, especially girls, when they like have really fucking big emotions about things and they're like very, you know, they're vulnerable or they cry a lot or they, you know, their emotions are very like almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
And like I've met girls who are like that.
It's kind of like a situation when they're like, how could you have let me cry and not done anything? Like this has happened to me like a few years ago where someone was like, you just like let me cry and you're such a bad friend. Like you didn't even like comfort me. And it's like, first of all, what? Like it's, that's using your emotion to like,
there was a point that I was going to, oh yeah. And those same girls will then like, I'll be having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And they'll literally be like, oh yeah, no, but like a lot of the time it's like I'm manipulating the person because I know it's going to get me like what I want or it's going to make them like feel bad and whatever. And I'm like,
well, that comes down from like childhood, learning how to get what you want.
Oh my God, that's like crazy though.
To admit that too.
I know.
Like to be self-aware that you're doing it and then not make any changes.
I know.
Crazy.
And then the person will vent about things again to me in the future and they'll be like, you know, crying and have all this like these like big emotions and stuff and I like struggle to even feel bad because I'm like,
are you doing this to manipulate?
Like, yeah. I'm like, does this actually affect you? Is this even like the real issue?
Because sometimes people will take advantage of the fact that they're crying to be like, you're a bad person because you're not comforting me when I'm crying. But it's like, you're crying, but you did something wrong. I feel bad that you're crying, but that's not my job to fix that for you because I don't agree.
But also sometimes like even for me personally, like I get uncomfortable when people like really cry a lot in front of me.
Really?
But it's not uncomfortable in the sense where I'm like, oh, I just want to leave. I can't handle this. It's more, I get uncomfortable because I don't know what to say in the moment to make the person feel better. Like if I'm not helping come up with like a solution or like.
Sometimes they don't need that. They just need you to listen.
I know. But like I'm saying in the context of like if someone were to ever say that to me, which like hasn't happened it's like a very interesting. Oh, she's laughing, smiling.
Oh, what's wrong, honey? She's mad because I said no color. Oh, no color. You're gonna have a temper tantrum, my baby.
No, she's smiling. Choo choo. Yeah.
She does a face.
Okay, should we wrap up?
Yeah, we should wrap up. Okay, well, it's Sunday, like I said, so my kids are all over the place, and I'm going to help out. We love you guys so much, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.